Let me tell you about a little girl named Serenity. She was 4 years old and she weighed 18 pounds when she died, as much as a 1-year-old baby. Over a long period of time, she had been starved, beaten, sexually assaulted, and then killed. But it didn't happen in some place like Iraq or Syria, where torture and sexual assault and murder of the helpless is commonplace. No, it happened here in Alberta, when Serenity was in government kinship care, family-based foster care, under the direct supervision of the Alberta government. She suffered and died entirely on their watch. Now, there are no convictions against the people who did this to little Serenity. There aren't even charges pending before the courts. Why? Because little Serenity's file was never completely turned over to the RCMP, hindering their investigation. The police just didn't have the information they needed from the Children's Services Ministry to investigate. The same people charged with keeping her safe in life didn't do enough to get her justice in death. They just forgot. The NDP forgot to get Serenity justice. Serenity was just a file under a pile of other files on someone's desk in a government cubicle. She wasn't treated like a human being, like a dead baby that was failed by everyone in her entire short life. She was tortured in life and forgotten in death. It was one of the worst things this awful government has ever done. And they've done a lot, or at least I thought it was, until yesterday. Now, new facts about the home where little Serenity was tortured, sexually assaulted, starved, and killed are coming out, and you won't believe this. Just watch.
Government is totally irresponsible, Mr. Speaker. 2 years after her death, the RCMP continued to investigate the probable murder of Serenity in the home of her caregivers. And what do they say, Mr. Speaker? Excuses. There are 6 children still in that home under the guardianship of Serenity's former caregivers. 2 of those 6 children have been reportedly not been seen in school since October. That's over 6 months and no school, Mr. Speaker. While we've been asking for answers on the death of Serenity, we don't know if the other 6 children in that home are even safe today. Has the minister even bothered to pick up the phone and ask someone to go and check on the welfare of those children? The death of Serenity was more than a tragedy. It looks like outright murder. Now, with 6 other children still in the care of the same people who were responsible for Serenity when she died, we hear more shocking stories told by Serenity's family, and I quote, "Every time I saw them, those kids, they had bruises and cuts on them every single time," end quote. I don't even know what to say. When will this minister, this government, and this premier, or anybody over there do their job and get these kids out of that house? Here.
That's right. There are still 6 kids in the home under the care of the people who looked after little Serenity when she was abused, starved, tortured, sexually assaulted, and killed. And those 6 kids, according to witness accounts, are not being taken care of either. But the kids are being left in the home because, well, that's just what happens with government kinship care. The government tries to keep the families together. But never fear, Rachel Notley says the government is monitoring these kids. The Minister of Children's Services, Danielle Larrivee, is spouting the same BS line. Monitoring the kids, hey? Really? Just like how they monitored little Serenity before she died? Who has been fired over what happened to Serenity? Or are the same caseworkers who monitored her now watching her foster siblings? You heard Brian Jean say it. 2 of the kids in that house haven't been in school since October. The same government that forgot to hand off Serenity's file to the RCMP and who don't seem to care that 2 of Serenity's foster siblings haven't been in school for most of the entire school year are going to make sure those remaining kids are safe? No way. I don't believe it for a second. And normally, I'm a fan of kinship care for kids instead of going into stranger foster families. Family, of course, is always better than the state. But never, never at all costs. Keeping Serenity in a home despite evidence of clear abuse to her simply because she was related to the people in it cost her her life. And learning nothing from that, the NDP are insisting on doing the same thing with the next 6 kids and expecting a different result. They'll fail those kids too, like they failed Serenity. They don't get another chance to get this thing right when the cost of failure is a dead child. Serenity was 4 when she died a horrible death. It's been 2 years and there's still no justice for her. And the worst part is her death so far has been for nothing. nothing has changed because Serenity is dead. And that's not right. Those kids in her old home need to be removed and put somewhere safe until this murder investigation is resolved. Those kids could be living with a murderer. And every minister, deputy minister, and bureaucrat past and present that ever touched Serenity's file needs to be fired. Like yesterday. And Rachel Notley better pray to whatever God she believes in that those remaining 6 kids left in that house have not been abused and neglected the way witnesses say they have been. Because if so, that's on Rachel Notley now. And she should be made to wear it like a millstone around her neck every single day of her life. And if Notley and Minister Larrabee had any shame between the two of them, they'd do the right thing right now and resign. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. Progressives claim they care about the poor, the abused, the neglected. That is until they actually have to do something about it. And at The Rebel, we point out this hypocrisy. To never miss a story, be sure to subscribe to our new Rebel Canada YouTube page. Poor, the abused, the neglected. That is until they actually have to do something about it. And at The Rebel, we point out this hypocrisy. To never miss a story, be sure to subscribe to our new Rebel Canada YouTube page.